And fantastic. Looks like you are all out there. Good to see you. Paul Training here. Going to dive into actually doing some compositing using the iPad, Photoshop on the iPad. So thanks so much for joining me. Appreciate you hanging out with me on this fine Monday. Yeah. So we will get this party started. And again, thanks for joining me. Just checking, making sure everything is okay. All right. So let me go ahead and share my iPad right now and let's get this party started, shall we? Here we are. This is on my iPad. You can see right here, again, Photoshop on the iPad, which you should have access to as a Creative Cloud member. Just check it out. Yeah, so I kind of want to do some basic compositing. My mic might be a little hot. I apologize if I came in a little hot, but it's good to see you here. Felicia, good to see ya. Vicky, Wilder, and everyone. Fantastic. So here's what I have, Photoshop on the iPad. I can scroll through some of this work that I've been working on. I can go to Cloud Documents. You can see a number of assets. And I would say a good chunk of these have actually come from Fresco. So when you're working in Fresco, you're going to have access to those same files that you made in Fresco also on the iPad. So you can see right over here my tree frog and some other things that I was working on, like this bird, okay? And I was just playing with some of the textures. And again, this is Fresco, by the way. Got a little crazy in parts of it, but I'm just doing just kind of a cool stylized look. I have an idea for what I want to do, but I made some assets in Fresco. When I go into Photoshop, you can see I have access to those same assets as you can see right here, okay? And boom, there it is, okay? Sweet. Ciao, Anna, how you doing? Mustafa, tell me how your life's going. Hopefully you're having a good day. I'm having a good day. Here's a file that I'm working on. This is the compositing that I'd like to do. But now I can bring those in from files, not only my camera roll, just iCloud files, but also from libraries. I have access to my CC libraries. So I went out and just grabbed from my nature one. Libraries, nature. We're waiting for it to load. Wait for it. But I have so many assets in here that I've used. All right, this is kind of my main library, to be honest with you, because I do a lot of nature type stuff. All right, so down here, you can see I have some of these assets, and that's where I placed this graphic. When you place it, it's going to place it as a flattened asset. Okay, so just keep that in mind. And just be prepared for that. Honestly, these are already flattened, but I can dive right into this. This is typically what I do, Wilder, by the way. And good to have you, Aaron Visuals, Froja, Steve as well, from Wellington, New Zealand. I want to kind of select some of this. It might get kind of tricky. If you do a long press, you can actually select the select similar, not select similar pixels. It is the quick selection tool. So I can quickly kind of roll over this hand to select parts of it. And what I can try to do, and this is a tough one, by the way, because the background is a beige, but I can go into select similar. So this is what I'll sometimes try and just see what happens, right? In this case, it selected too much. But if I just select a little piece, maybe this darker part right here, let's see what happens. Select similar. It selects most of the hand, right? So I could use select similar to get me started. And then I could come in here and just start adding to it just by rolling over it. I could hit the F key and I can see what's selected and what isn't, just to make sure I get all those using that keyboard shortcut. I think I overshot it there, not to worry. You know, we can go in and fix this all we want. Which is what I'm doing right now, coming in here, and let's just select this right here. You get the idea. Wilder, how are you doing, my friend? Hopefully you're doing well. It's a good day to be alive, huh? It's a good day. Let me know if you have questions. This is just the beginning of our journey using of Photoshop on the iPad, by the way. This is just the beginning. We got to take, 30 years worth of technology and port it over. It's going to take some time, but this actually came from the actual code base from Photoshop. So I'm selecting off to the side. Hopefully you could see that. I'll just go over here. Let me show you. Additional options. So I can select the inverse. So I want to remove basically some of these pixels right in here like I'm doing now. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. And I can always mix this up later. It's fine. Guess what? I want to make it a mask. Let's make it a mask. And there we go. There we have it. Going back to the hand, we could start painting with white. Oops, wrong brush. I want to kind of show you some of the brushes in here, but I'm going to go back to the hard round brush. I can change the size. That's about a medium size, and I can use a brush to kind of come in here. And I'm actually just like painting with white technically to get all these little parts that honestly nobody's going to see for what I'm doing. All right. So Danny, good to have you here. I'm actually basically doing the artist's hand. I might only use one of these hands, in fact. So I'm actually going to duplicate this layer. Let's go in here. Let's select the layer itself. Sorry about that. So if something doesn't show up in the menu, just make sure you have the layer selected and the pixel layer and not the mask layer. So selecting that pixel layer right up here, duplicate. We've duplicated it. I'll turn off the one behind it. I could take this mask, by the way, and I can apply it to that flattened mask. It was down there at the bottom. It took me a second. It was down at the bottom of this list, but I went in here and it's down there at the very bottom. Okay, so if I just do that again, you can see right down there, that's where it is. So that's what I've done for this hand. Let's take this hand. We're going to take it. We're going to select it. We're doing the artist's hand, so we're going to take some fun illustrations. I can cut this. I'll paste it. When I paste it, it's going to be on its new layer, right? We could see it right here. We could rename it hand just like that, and let's have some fun with this. Turning that off, rotating it. Oop. Zoop, rotating like so. If you want to get an exact rotation, by the way, go in there to your resize tool. If you click on those three little dots, you can say rotation angle 90 degrees like that. Click done. Okay, that's what I want, and let's kind of move that down to the bottom, kind of like that. Done. Okay, we're gonna have some fun with this hand, Wilder. Hopefully this works. I'm drawing right on the iPad, by the way, so I'm literally drawing on the iPad. You can see it right here. Working on Photoshop on the iPad is what I'm doing. So yes, do I recommend it? Yes, I do recommend it for sure. I'm gonna go in and I'm just gonna start doing a multi-select. So I'm going to just take chunks out of the fingers here. It's going to hopefully be kind of cool, right? Just taking those chunks, right? And actually, you know what? Let's cut them. Cut. And then paste. And now I have these chunks that are going to be kind of breaking out because I want these pieces right here to the fingers kind of need to be breaking apart because I'm doing the artist's hand, and I kind of want to show it show like artwork coming out of the fingers. So that's the goal. That's what I'm doing right now. Okay, so let's take those, break them out like that, go back to the hand, deselect. There we go. Let's take this like that, break it out. We're just having some fun right now. It should be pretty cool what I'm making. I'm excited about it. I hope you catch a vision for what I'm doing shortly, but I'm just basically breaking out parts of the finger, and there's going to be colors inside of the hand as well. Okay, we'll go down here to the thumb, do the same thing. It's like split it like here, like it's going to go along this edge and up. Break it out. How's everybody doing today? Good? It's going to go a little deeper. I think the deeper cuts are just going to make it look cooler in my mind. All right, so we have that. It's breaking apart. Let's do another big chunk. Like I said, I think these deeper cuts are just going to make it look a little bit more awesome. All right, take that. Let's pull it out. I might want to cut it Again, every time I cut and every time I paste, it adds it as a new layer, right? So that's this new layer right here that I can then reposition and rotate and have all that fun with, right? It's kind of like that. Done. Cool. Let me know if you have questions. Glad you're having a great day. Alexander, good to see you here as well, buddy. We are going to be creating some magic, shall we? Crack that out. I get to use the pencil. I could be using a Wacom, but I could do this anywhere. And I'm getting this past, the past year, sort of like 2019, I've gotten away from, slowly have gotten away from just being tied to my desk, you know, and that's probably the biggest thing. So right in here, we're going to create some colors. I'm just going to draw with some more selections. I do recommend getting a screen protector that has a little bit of a tooth. There's something called paper-like. Oops. Oh, I just lost my connection. Sorry about that. Try this one more time. And what I'm using to actually connect to broadcast this, in case you're curious, is I'm using a reflector. That's what I'm actually using to broadcast this, which I think is kind of cool. All right, so we're going to add to this right in here. Zoop. But yeah, use something like paper-like, and it'll give it a little bit of a tooth, so it makes it, it slows down your Apple Pencil, makes it so it's not so slick. So there we have the insides of the fingers. So what do? Get the paint bucket and just start adding colors. Let's drop in some colors right there. And not only that, let's create a new layer above that and make it a clipping layer. And then I'll actually do I even need to deselect? Maybe, maybe not. Using brushes like I would, soft round brush. In this case, I'll make it a color black. And then I'm just gonna start painting in some shading right in here. Okay, so we're gonna make it look like these fingers are hollow and artwork is coming out of these fingers. Let's get the right brush first off. Soft round, let the pressure control the opacity, right? And let's make it a little larger, right? Like that. And now we're just kind of adding that depth to the inside. Might be a little strong there. I could always fix it later. I can adjust the transparency, but that's what I'm doing. Just adding some depth to this like so, right? That's what we want. Those fingers breaking out. Do some more as well. Deselect. Adding some more depth to these, creating this composite. I'm going to move through this pretty fast because I think you want to see some fast results. I know I do. Remember, these are chunks that have been taken out of the finger, so they'll have, like, the inside of the finger will have that same purple color, right? So what do? Jump in, sample that color, and then go ahead and paint it, and we'll do the same thing. We'll create a new layer. I usually make it a clipping layer, and then paint with the brush again, making sure I'm painting with the right color, and maybe taking down the size a little bit. Kind of like that. That's what I'm going for. Cool. Deselect. There we go. Deselect. There we are. Okay. Checking. Why do I recommend the iPad Pro? It kind of depends on what you're going to get the most bang for the buck out of. Like, if you know you're going to be doing a lot of digital drawing, you consider a Wacom or any touch-enabled tablet, because yeah, obviously the Wacom tablets do that. But I have one, and I find that you're confined to a desk with it. And with this, it just means that I can actually go wherever I want. All right, so let's go ahead and add some more to this. Let's turn on this flower. Here we go. We have this fun flower. Let's bring it over. So what's coming out of this hand is going to be a bunch of graphics, like maybe this banana. Okay, so these are just painted items. Again, this being the artist hand, and this contents is going to be bursting out of there. Okay, like so, right? Elements of that. Let's bring this down, and I can go ahead and let's do this. You ready for this? I'm going to add a new layer. Let's try this. We're going to add a new layer. We're going to sample that same purple color. And I'm just going to fill it with that color. Okay. But now we're going to clip it to just this flower. Now, you know about this. If you're doing any sort of compositing, I want to play with the blend modes, right? So right in here, I'm basically tinting it the same color that's inside the finger. So that's what I'm going for, you know, and just playing with this, to be honest with you, getting a cool look, working with these blend modes. Ooh, that looks kind of nice. Screen, lighten looks good. And then we have some of these darker colors. So that's all I'm thinking. I'm kind of liking lighten. Let's go with that. And let's have some fun with this. I'm going to kind of finish with this. Again, I brought these in, sometimes using my CC libraries. Other times I would just open up the file directly from within on my iPad. So if I actually close this down, you can see these assets. If I open this up, I can have access to all of the layers, right? So anyways, this is what I have so far. This rotate it into place. I'm noticing that in here, and we can add some of these fun ones, like this oil background mix. Watch this. When I just kind of paint on, you can see that sort of cool splatter, that cool, those brush strokes that I get, which just make it look cool, right? That's what I want. I want more randomness to this is what I'm going for, right? So just adding a little bit of depth, a little bit of that color kind of bursting out, right? We could do more. I'm going to do again, it's a long press, and then you can go in here and there's a couple more. There's a spatter and texture as well. So on a new layer, with that same purple, you can see I'm adding that purple splatter like so, or spatter. Maybe going a little bit more yellow, right? Like that. And now I can have that kind of just resonate a little bit more with these, kind of tie them both together is what I'm going for right there. It's looking a little messy, but yeah. So you can start on iPad, go back to the desk. Yes, you can go back and forth. Yes, Alexander, as you know. Perfect. Awesome. Yeah, so I think what's cool about this is this part right here. I need to change a lot of the colors, and guess what? You can do that at any time. You can come in here and say, you know, these fingers, this finger right here, I can take that layer. I was looking for lock transparency. But either way, I can just paint that a different color in general, because I want to make it look like yellow is coming out of there, like so. See what I did there? So you have that splatter, and it's kind of coming out of the finger. All right, closing that, kind of going over to this one that is a little bit more refined, so you can see the look I'm going for. David and Muhammad and Adam and everyone. John Covington. Oh, I'm glad you like it. Okay, so this is taking a little while. I want to show you what's happening, by the way, because at any time, I can always switch to Photoshop on my desktop, right? Right over here. Here's Photoshop on my desktop. I'll go to File, Open, and we can see I have all my cloud documents in here, just like I have on my iPad. These are the same files. Okay, so I can actually open that up directly on my desktop and work the way I normally would on the desktop. And not only that, one last thing, I absolutely love this, also in the browser, right? Here I am. Let me just refresh this. Assets.adobe.com, cloud documents. Here's the artist's hand, the final, kind of what I'm making. And once I get it all squared away, I'll probably post it to Behance and Instagram. But right in here, you can see this is what I get. And I can send this. I could say, hey, what do you think? You know, what do you think? Send it to my client. They'll see that comment. What I can also do is I could draw a shape. So I can draw right over here, like I'm doing right now. Can you add a splash of color here? I think that's super cool, right? And that's what I'm going to do. It's going to have a gradient burst from that's coming out from the background. In fact, that's what I'll do right now. Let's come in here. I can add a gradient this way, by the way, as I finish this up. Sorry, I'm kind of rambling on and on, but I will be finishing the rest of this a little later. I could use these new gradients are actually like first-class citizens now, and I can come in, kind of pick the one I want as I go through these. Ooh, I'm kind of loving this color, by the way. I love this, this like salmon color. Super nice, like that. I don't know, that's what I'm thinking. So anyways, that's kind of where it's gonna end up, just so you know, just so you have an idea. But that is compositing on the iPad, by the way, which I'm doing, as you can see right over here, and then bringing it and finishing it on the desktop if you want to as well. So hopefully you found this awesome. It'd be nice if you could add radial gradient of that pinkish color of the skin. Yeah, radial gradient. Okay, I like it. Mohammed, I'm into it. And by the way, I can add gradients here on the iPad as well. So click right there, hold down, there it is. There's a gradient, obviously. Thanks so much for watching this. Love the new UI gradients as well. Super easy to composite on the iPad using Photoshop, as you can tell. Kind of might move that out a little bit. I just encourage you to kind of have fun with it, and I think it's a blast. Hopefully you do as well. So thank you so much, everyone. Like I said, I will be posting this to Instagram, to Behance, also to Twitter later on once I get it squared away. So thanks so much for watching, everybody.